What is up, Renaissance crew? I'm the original Renaissance man, Devon DaVinci, and you're watching DaVinci Reacts. Now, I'm going to be getting into 14 horror stories animated. This is part 4, and this will be the longest part out of all of them. I'm going to complete the rest of the video, which is about 23 minutes. And then I'll go, if I can, I'll go ahead and try to leave commentary in between if anything jumps out at me. But as you guys know, my camera only records for 30 minutes. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I had to break this video up so much. I do have a webcam now, so chances are the next time I do a long video, I'll be doing it with the webcam. The quality of the video may be lower, but at the same time, it allows me to react to longer videos. So I hope you guys will look forward to that. Anyway, let's get into this video and see what it has to offer. Headphones. Oh, 1 second. All right, now it's ready. Go.
I'll never forget this night. The pizza place I worked at was about to close, and I was getting ready to go home when the phone rang. I was working the counter alone that night, so I was taking calls. I picked up the phone. There was complete silence, so I hung up. About a minute later, the phone rings again, so I pick up again. Still silence. I was about to hang up again when I heard the very weak and cold voice of an old woman on the other end. She said she wanted a regular pie delivered. I remained polite on the phone, but on the inside I was screaming.
Does anybody else feel weird when they hear people refer to pizzas as pies? I don't know. It has a weird effect on me.
I just wanted to get home and end my shift. I called out to my boss that somebody is requesting a delivery. He told me I had to go. I was upset at first, but I realized it's another tip, and the old ones usually tip the most, so I decided it was okay. I took down the address and told her it would be there soon, but she had already hung up. I thought that was rude, but I ignored it and yelled to the chef that I needed one regular. My boss told me to just go home after the delivery as the place would be closed, so a little before 10 o'clock, I got in my car and put the address into my GPS. The house was 7 miles away. The GPS took me to the quiet side of town. I arrived to the house. It was a small, one-floor house on a very quiet and empty block. I took the pizza and walked up to the door and rang the doorbell. There were no lights on in the house.
There's blood on the doorbell.
I hoped that she hadn't given me the wrong address.
Just a heads up, there's blood on the doorbell. Let's go back a little bit.
I took the pizza and walked up to the door and rang the doorbell. There were no lights on in the house. I hoped that she hadn't given me the wrong address. I rang the doorbell again. There was still no answer. I was about to give up when I turned my head and saw somebody standing at the window. I got a little freaked out and backed up at first, but I eventually got closer to the window to see the person. It was an old woman, probably in her late 70s. She was just staring at me with a blank expression.
Pizza!
I yelled to her,
Did you order a pizza?
She didn't react to what I said, so I screamed it louder. A big smile ran across her face. Not a pleasant, genuine smile. It was a smile that sent chills down my spine. I still remember that exact face she made through the window. I decided that I was freaked out enough and got back to my car and set the pizza in the passenger seat. I had to text...
What if she just never had a lot of human interaction recently, so she just like, okay, this is a nice young man. Let me go ahead and smile. This is what normal people do, right?
Freaked out enough and got back to my car and set the pizza in the passenger seat. I had to text my boss about this. I shot him a quick text and started my car, ready to get the hell away. I looked to my right to get one more look, to see the woman standing right outside my passenger side window, giving me the same stare she had given me before. I put my car in drive and floored it down the street, not looking back. My boss never made me do a late night delivery again.
That's because she wanted her pizza. You just walked off and drove off in your car, and she ain't get her damn pizza. She was mad. Trick or treat.
It was Halloween night of 2007, freshman year in high school, and I was with my friends, Ivan, Ryan, and Jesse. We were all dressed as the Super Mario characters. I was Luigi since I was the second tallest.
What loser
Ivan
played
was Mario
Waluigi?
since he's short and buff. Not that Mario was buff. Jesse was Waluigi because he's freakishly tall and skinny, and Ryan was Wario because he's just really fat. So they were the perfect group costumes for us. We live in a very non-congested suburban neighborhood with a decent amount of space in between houses. On Halloween, that's the worst thing ever. Less bang for your buck. We were
just gotta walk twice as fast.
Way past dark, and eventually came the time when most trick-or-treaters were heading home. My feet started to hurt, and I had to constantly switch arms for holding the now 10-pound pillow sack of candy. But we planned on going until our bags were completely full.
Toss it over your shoulder.
A lot of the houses by now weren't answering anymore. It was probably past their cutoff time for giving candy to trick-or-treaters. Approaching our next house, we saw a purple bucket on the stoop, which was the best feeling ever. I was the one to get
Somebody
close
was
enough
looking
to
at you
realize
in
it
the
was
top
empty, which
window.
was the worst feeling ever. I turned around when I heard a knock at the window of the house. We all looked at the window. Couldn't see anyone, but heard someone call out, "Wait." The door opened, and an older man, late 40s, already balding, stepped outside. He told us to come inside so he can get us some more candy. I said we could just wait out here. He responded saying something along the lines of, "Nonsense, come on in, we'll get you your candy." Ivan stepped in and said, "It's all right. Come on, Dan, let's go." I told the guy to take care and apologized. He just stood there watching as we walked off, not saying anything. I felt bad, but at the same time, that guy seemed like a creeper, and I figured I just dodged a bullet not going in there. If the story ended there, it wouldn't be scary, so of course, it didn't end there. We skipped a few of the guy's neighboring houses just to get further away and continued on with our business. We were walking down close to the nature preserve now, so there weren't
What the fuck is that?
many houses around us. At this point, we were now walking back closer to Jesse's house. I noticed Ryan had stopped walking, and I turned around to see what's up. He said he heard someone moving from behind the trees in the preserve. Now, this was before everyone's phones had flashlights, so we couldn't just go searching in the woods for someone.
That is a
Besides,
smart thing not to
we
do.
were just telling Ryan that it must have been a raccoon or something. You may think this is a bit of a cliche, but when things like this happen in real life, you always assume the more logical possibility. It's just natural.
Of course.
Why would we assume we were being followed? I had to put my arm around Ryan's shoulder and nudge him forward. A little ways down the street, me and Ivan picked up on the sound as well. When we all stopped, the sounds of the footsteps from beyond the trees stopped as well. Ivan yelled at the obvious stalker to go away, or we would beat the shit out of them. I knew he was just bluffing.
That's
though.
Mario.
I could hear the nervousness in his voice.
Mario's about that life.
The snap of a twig from beyond the trees triggered a fight-or-flight response in all of us. Me, Jesse, and Ryan all ran for it. Ivan was at first charging to attack, but he quickly followed after realizing we had all taken off.
Yeah.
We ran down the dark street, and we all noticed the sounds of at least 2 or 3 pairs of footsteps crushing the twigs and leaves in the woods. We banked it hard right down Jesse Street when it finally came up, and ran straight for his backyard, entering his house through the back door. The first thing we did was peek out through his living room window. We couldn't see anyone. We all had to gather our thoughts and discuss what the hell just went down.
That's a hell of a Halloween experience.
Jesse's backyard gate slammed shut. Jesse dove to turn off the lights. There was a click and a bang from down in the den.
Please tell me you remember to lock the back door. I don't want no same fuckery that happened in the last story.
It was more than likely Jesse's back door. We all agreed to go down armed with knives and face them. Jesse turned on his back door light, but there was nobody out there. Just then the front door opened, and we all screamed like animals. Jesse's mom and sisters came rushing downstairs. They had just gotten home from their friend's little house party. We all rested assured knowing it was just them. Jesse explained what happened, but made it seem a lot less dramatic. Me and Ivan went home after that and called it a night. At 12:30 a.m., I got a disturbing text message. It was from Jesse. It said, "It wasn't my mom." I texted back saying, "What?" He responded back quickly, saying, "It wasn't my mom in the backyard." My fingers slammed the buttons on my phone, responding back, "What do you mean?" There was a long pause before he finally told me that his mom and sisters said they never went in the backyard. I told him to immediately check the backyard from his upper deck. He had already done just that. He also told his mom everything, and she had already called the police. They didn't find anyone back there, but Jesse did mention the guy who invited us in while trick-or-treating. Nothing ever became of that, and nothing ever happened at Jesse's house again.
Alright, so we have Ben drowned, we have the Rake, we have Slender Man, and we have Jeff the Killer. So these kids either know each other or they're really deep into internet creepypastas, because I can't imagine in one neighborhood all 4 people dressing like creepypasta characters unless they were in it together from the beginning.
After that one Halloween night,
Happy Halloween, everybody watching. Hallucination.
you can see some weird things when you're tired. But the thing about this story, I wasn't tired. Me and the family were on vacation to some resort in a very rural area of Pennsylvania to make the setting creepier. There weren't many young people there for me and my brothers to hang out with. It seemed like more of an adult resort. But then one day when I was walking outside of the main lodge of the resort, I for some reason looked up to a window on the 2nd floor and saw a teenage girl looking down at me. From that distance, she looked kinda cute, so I gave her a wave, but she didn't show any sign of reaction, so I just moved on.
At that age, you got a girl
later that
to
same
notice
day,
you.
I was so
Thumbs up.
bored that I was sitting on the swing set at the little playground of the resort, and that's when I saw the same girl again. She was a little ways away from me, down past the playground, close to the tree line, and she was just standing there staring
Go
at
talk
me.
to her.
Being a teenage guy, my hormones controlled my body, and so I got off the swing and began walking over
There you
to
go.
her. As I started getting closer to her, I realized she wasn't as cute as I thought she was.
Ah, shit.
There was something about her face that just gave off a creepy vibe. I can't put my finger on it, but if I had to say, I think it would have to do with her eyes and her mouth. I'd say once I got about halfway over to her, she turned around completely and ran into the woods. And I mean she full on ran into the woods. I stopped in my tracks, completely turned off. This girl seemed like a freaky stalker. I didn't see her the rest of our stay at the resort. During the car ride home, miles and miles away from the resort, I was thinking about her. How maybe if I followed her into the woods, I could have gotten laid, even though there was something off about her face. But then what I saw next made me
So
feel
that might
like
have
my
been a
heart
bit
dropped
much.
into my stomach. Looking down ahead, I saw the same girl standing by the tree line on the side of the highway. As we sped past her, I saw her head turn so that she was always looking right at me, even through the tinted minivan windows. I asked my parents if they saw her, and they just responded, "Saw who?"
It's Chi-Chi.
Soon afterwards, I accepted that it
Is
was
this
all
Gohan?
in my head, and that the girl was never even there.
I know who that girl is. This is Gohan. That's Chi-Chi. That girl was Ginger, because everybody forgot who the hell Ginger was. Almost as if she was a ghost.
There used to be a pond about half a mile away from my old house that I would commonly go fishing in. It was nicknamed Daryl's Pond. I still have no idea who Daryl was or why it was called that, but nobody owned it, so people would once in a blue moon go fishing there as well. It was usually me by myself though. I had dug a pole into the ground where I would tie a noose to and from my small kayak. I'd say it was about 3 in the afternoon when I rode out to the middle of the pond, the sweet spot for getting a decent catch. There was another person coming out from the trees. I waved at him and gave him a smile. He hopped into a small boat floating by the edge of the pond and began to row over to me. As he got close enough where trying to speak to him wouldn't come off as obnoxious, I gave him a friendly, "Perfect day, isn't it?" "Yes, absolutely," he said. He didn't say anything after that, and I started to feel a bit awkward, as if I were obligated to keep some kind of conversation rolling now.
You don't.
"So, you come out here to throw some lines?" I asked. "No, I don't actually fish." "Oh, well, it's never a bad day to relax on the pond," I said. He continued to row closer to me until his boat collided with mine.
Perfect day to rape some children, though, apparently.
I was genuinely uncomfortable now.
Run.
I didn't feel threatened, just weirded out. I was only 24 years old. This guy looked like he was late 40s or 50s. There was an awkward silence.
Run and run fast.
Just act like I was focused on trying to make a catch, but by now that wasn't even on my mind. This guy was weird. I didn't know what he wanted, and I was uncomfortable being so close to him. I felt him looking at me, or at least in my direction, as I faced halfway to the opposite direction of him.
He just wants to feel your body warmth.
I took a quick glance to my right. Yeah, he was staring at me. I decided to be ballsy and lock eye contact with him. After about 4 seconds,
that makes him think you're interested.
"So, where are you from?" I asked him. "Up there." He pointed behind himself, in the direction of the woodsy hill leading past the dirt road. "Oh, you live by Suffolk?" I asked. No, I'm not," he said. "What made you decide to come out here?" I said. "Why not?" I continued to try and uncomfortably fill the awkward silences that kept coming up. His responses were dry. He didn't contribute anything to what was barely a conversation. He just sat there not doing anything, with half a smile on his face, looking either at me or in my general direction throughout. I was creeped out. My heart was racing at this point. I'd go as far as saying that I was nervous for my life. We were surrounded by trees in all directions, in the middle of a pond. I started to row a bit closer to land, but in a very low-key kind of way, trying to play it off as me just trying to find a better spot to find some fish. I was horrified when I saw he was following me. "What a great day, huh?" I felt a shake in my
What a
voice.
great day!
I got close enough to the edge of the pond where I finally told the man, "I think I'm gonna call it a day." I turned to see his reaction. He was still staring at me, but his smile was gone now. "I can't let you leave," he said. He lifted his flannel to expose a handgun sticking out of his jeans pocket. As soon as I could process what I was looking at, I dove out of the boat for land, ran the whole half-mile uphill through the woods back to my house, and locked every door and window as soon as I made it home. I pulled down the blinds to the dining room window, leaving it open just a crack for peeking outside undetected. It started to get dark out, and I left every light in the house off, still peeking out to the front yard, making sure I wasn't followed. The time came when I finally decided I wasn't followed. I realize now, like you, that not calling the police immediately was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
I kept my bedroom windows open to let the room air out.
Oh, God.
My bedroom was on the second floor, so I wasn't worried about being watched through the window. About half an hour after shutting the light and falling under the covers, I heard the sound of leaves crunching from outside. I sat up to hear it more clearly. It was definitely something walking around out there. Normally I would assume it was a deer or a bear, but after what just happened, I was still in paranoia mode. I sat up as still as a statue, except for my shaking out of fear, waiting as the sounds of the steps stopped. "Hey buddy, you up there? Are you trying to sleep?" "Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you." I felt like 100 pounds just fell directly onto my chest. It was the same voice. I knew it right away. I didn't make a sound. I crept out of the room quietly downstairs to the kitchen and grabbed the phone, practically crawling on my way out to avoid being seen through the open blinds. I called 911 like I should have earlier in the temporary safety of my bedroom. I made sure to whisper into the phone, as I was still hoping that he hadn't yet heard or spotted me. 20 minutes felt like an hour as I sat behind my bed, waiting for the police to arrive in constant fear that I would hear glass breaking from downstairs, or a thud on the back door, or even just a voice again from down below my window outside. The police did a thorough investigation of the property in nearby woods, turning up nothing. They suggested I stay with a friend or a family member for a few days, and so I did. I never heard from or saw the man again, but I still moved a month later. I couldn't deal with the constant fear and paranoia of being watched through my windows.
I can imagine.
I feel much more comfortable fishing out by the bay now.
It was Daryl. Daryl Voorhees.
The last thing I saw was my alarm clock flashing 12:07 before she pushed her long, rotting nails through my chest, her other hand muffling my screams. I sat bolt upright, relieved it was only a dream, but as I saw my alarm clock read 12:06, I heard my closet door creak open. Growing up with cats and dogs, I got used to the sound of scratching at my door while I slept. Now that I live alone, it's much more unsettling.
Looks like they're just steamrolling through these next stories.
I begin tucking him into bed and he tells me, "Daddy, check for monsters under my bed." I look underneath for his amusement and see him, another him, under the bed, staring back at me, quivering and whispering, "Daddy, there's somebody on my bed." I always thought my cat had a staring problem. She always seemed fixated on my face, until one day when I realized that she was always looking just behind me.
It's Rape Santa. Run! Inspired by Harry Mason from Silent Hill. Never played the Silent Hill games. Who knows, maybe one day I will. Maybe tomorrow I will. I knew it was Rick from Rick and Morty. The girl from The Ring. Yeah. Johnny Bravo's living room. Yep, Clockwork Orange, I was right. Pizza from Pizza Delivery Stories 1. The monolith from 2001, A Space Odyssey. Didn't catch that. Oh! I mean, I should have been able to recognize that. I feel bad that I wasn't. The gold room from The Shining. I didn't pay enough attention to Shining to see that. I know the carpet's from The Shining. I recognize that. I didn't say anything though, but I recognize the carpet. It's also from Toy Story. Muriel. I knew it. She stood out too much. That was obvious. Yeah, I saw Scrub Cakes. I didn't know what the hell it was about. It didn't look like it was something that would be appetizing to hang up. The address for the monsters. New and tasty, I should have recognized that. Yeah, I know it was the Mothman, but I knew it was some shit going on in the background. Hey, I got all of them. That was easy. Portal shirt. I didn't really see that was an Easter egg, though. Chi-Chi, I was right. So that means that was Gohan and Ginger. Yeah, I recognize that kind of. Oh, of course. That was too obvious. That was Daryl, Jason's less charismatic little brother. The Grudge. I mean, the kid looked weird, but I didn't think of Grudge for some reason. Home Alone house. Inspired by Kevin's parents in Home Alone. Alright, that was interesting. This was his 2015 compilation. He has one for 2016, 17, and 18 as well. So at some point I might end up jumping into that also. If you guys want to see me do the other compilations, let me know. Leave them comments down below. And let me know what you thought about the story so far, because like I said, I have 3 other videos that I've done related to this video. So you can go ahead and check back on those videos and leave your impressions about each story. If you guys happen to have any scary stories or, you know, Halloween related stories, some of them don't even have to be scary, just really interesting stories. I'd love to hear them. Go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below, and we can go ahead and, you know, give you our impressions and stuff about them as well. Anyway, that's been this video. I am the original Renaissance man, Devon DaVinci. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Also, you can catch me on Twitch and YouTube doing streams. I usually do them usually I start them about 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, United States time. And, you know, I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2, so if you're interested in catching me play that, be sure to tune in. And I usually play it for about 3 hours. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to something else. I'm the original Renaissance man, Devon DaVinci, signing out. Deuces.